We get these poll numbers, and a lot of them are fake polls. I call them fake polls. And come to think of it, who gets attacked more than me? Ben, does anybody get attacked? I get attacked. I get attacked. I think maybe more. Maybe more than anybody. I don't know. I can do the greatest thing for our country, and on the networks and on different things, it will show bad. They will take it back because fake news. They said, America first. That could be racist. I said, racist? Racist. Why is that racist? Here we are. I think does everybody in this room agree? You're living in America. America first, right? You're here. Racist.
There was quite a sight in the White House earlier today. The president delivering remarks at the Young Black Leadership Summit in what sounded to the ear more like a MAGA rally than an East Room gathering. The crowd at times chanting USA, build the wall, lock them up, and fake news. Joining the conversation, Peter Baker, New York Times chief White House correspondent, AB, Jason, the Rev, and Jonathan are all still here. Peter Baker, you have covered, and I have worked many events in the East Room. The East Room is where President John F. Kennedy's body lay in repose, along with the bodies of, I believe, 6 other American presidents after they died. I have never seen it house a crowd chanting fake news, chanting CNN sucks. I wonder if there's a string to be drawn between the political discourse and the conduct of groups that go to the White House.
Well, every president, as you know, tries to draw at least some distinction between a political event and a policy event or a White House event, a presidential event. In theory, you're not supposed to use the White House as a prop for a campaign, although in some ways, obviously, it's unavoidable. But the appearance of this particular event made it look like, as you said, another rally before the midterm elections, and at a time when the country is clearly rattled, at a time when clearly some people in the country are rattled by these pipe bombs. Rather than give reassurance, rather than, preach a different kind of message, he read the script earlier that he was given, said the things that a president's supposed to say, and then moved on back to the normal, divisive kind of rhetoric that he prefers. He's not somebody who wants to be a unifier. It's not his political approach. It's not his style. It's not what got him to where he is today. And he resents the people who have been criticizing. He resents CNN. He resents MSNBC. He resents the critics in the press and on the left who have said that he's responsible for this atmosphere that might have, encouraged this kind of action.
Jason Johnson, I'm not someone who has become numb to any of this. I'm shocked and rattled by all of it. But one of the most jarring things I've seen, having worked in that building every single day for 6.5 years, was to hear the chants in this room that is so sacred. I think wars have been ended in that room. And to hear it sound like a MAGA rally on the day that a Trump-aligned suspect, someone suspected of orchestrating a serial bombing campaign to mete out domestic terror to Donald Trump's political rivals, was beyond jarring.
Nicole, I'm like you. I won't allow myself to get numb to the way that this president basically bespoils everything in the room. But I'm going to speak at an even sort of deeper level about what was going on there. So this is a young black Republican group. Turning Point USA happens to be there. One, I want to point out, and this is a testament to sort of overall authoritarianism and violence this president encourages. One, they blocked all black press from being able to come to the event. I know several reporters. We were initially given passes to go to this event, and then they took them back because they didn't want anyone there who might possibly see the kind of violence that this president was encouraging. Furthermore, it is absolutely disgusting that in the wake of political opponents and people who are helping him to do his job, other people who supposedly care about America being threatened by life or death bombs, that he's concerned about attacks on himself. This president is a narcissist. We know these things. This president is a terrorist sympathizer. We know these things. But more importantly, he is encouraging a generation of incredibly foolish young people foolish young people. And I want this to be clear. This isn't about Republicans or Democrats. This is about the Trump personality cult. We know Republicans. I know Robert Trainum. I know Michael Steele. We all know African-American Republicans. These are lost, disturbed, self-loathing people who are part of a personality cult for a president who calls for domestic terrorism and a destruction of every norm that makes this country great. And any opportunity he has to speak is an opportunity for us to be reminded of what an actual danger he is to everything we hold dear in this country.
Rev?
Every time we say that you cannot go lower than what Donald Trump has done, he proves us wrong. This was among the lowest things that he could ever do. To go in the East Room, which is sacred, have a staged rally. Notice that all of those youngsters had caps on. It was almost like we're going to dress you for the photo. And to call it a Young Black Leaders Summit, he raves about the violence in Chicago, which he should. Why weren't they discussing that? Why weren't they discussing student loans? Why weren't they discussing issues of young blacks? They just had Kanye in there at least talking about criminal justice. None of that. They're in there talking about CNN sucks. They're in there talking about build a wall. So why do you need a Young Black Summit to do it? Because it was not a summit. It was a Make America Great rally. They used some young blacks as props, which really is an insult to them. There are black Republicans that have some dignity and have some issues they want to discuss. There's nothing wrong with those young blacks wanting to be Republican, but it is something wrong with them being used as props so that he can take his shots against the media on a day that we watch CNN and others have to deal with bomb squads out in front of their door.
I want to ask you, Jonathan Lemire, about the White House staff. Does anyone try to coach the president? We know what his instincts are, and you've spoken to that. They're what we see laid bare at rallies and in his 2 a.m. tweets. What does the White House think or say or do in defense of this conduct? Obviously, when you work on the White House staff, you have an opportunity to shape the conduct or the public events. There's a lot of stagecraft. Just pull back the curtain. I mean, I've staged a lot of these events. They're exactly as Peter Baker described them. They're as you described them. Sometimes the people are props. They're there to small business events are the best. Right. You go and find small business owners from battleground states, and you bring them in and you talk about giving loans. I mean, it happens all the time. Every White House does it. But like all things with this president, they seem to debase what is a pretty cookie cutter process, bringing in a group and trying to make a point that advances your legislative or political agenda. What goes on at the staff level when a group of young supporters, I guess, of the president starts chanting CNN sucks and the president's like a pig in you-know-what, reveling in it?
The White House aides that I talk to say consistently they feel like they can control the president to a point. They believe that, yes, they can feed him some remarks in a teleprompter and he will read them, sometimes begrudgingly, but he will do it. And we saw that today. But the decision, frankly, that it's just to have him deliver those remarks in that setting at all is striking. I think most presidents, perhaps, he would have gone to like the diplomatic room and read, this is the update on the shooting, and then an hour later you have this event, and again, young black Republicans, you want to do that, that's fine. But that he combined the two. So therefore you had this sort of odd image when even he was doing the serious news, you had cheers from the crowd. And then beyond that, once he moved into the more political portion of the agenda.
And you know what you would do? You'd close it.
Yeah.
So here's what you'd do if you're press staff. You'd open up to the press the serious statement about the news of the day.
And then you go behind closed doors and meet supporters.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.